first, we wanted to talk a little bit about the beta recap and the tuning. So I want to give a big shout out to the dev team. They've done an amazing job going through all the data that came back from both our forums, where you guys gave feedback, but also just gameplay tuning, where you can see who's getting the most vanquishes, who's getting the least vanquishes, speed, velocity of all the shots, all that kind of stuff.
Very detailed.
So I'm going to give you a quick overview of some of the things that are going to change in the final game because of the beta feedback, which we're very appreciative of. But Justin Weeb, and it'd be good if we could put his Twitter actually down in there as well. Justin Weeb will be posting the final feedback early next week of everything that's going to go into the game at launch, including at EA Access launch, by the way. That's when it will, it'll already be in effect at that point.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I think is really cool, and before we talk about any kind of tuning that the guys are adding, is actually a region selector for servers. So we didn't have that in the original game, but if you go to the world options in Backyard Battleground now, you can actually select which region you want to use for the server infrastructure. So if you want to have a West Coast server, etc., and have a lower ping to make sure on the closest server to you, you will now have that option, which I think is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Very exciting indeed. One of the big things that we got feedback on was that the game felt really, really fast and chaotic in the beta, which we agree with. It was definitely faster than we anticipated when we played in our internal play test. Maybe these guys are not quite as good as our viewers, but it wasn't. It was a little bit faster than we expected. So we're actually going to slightly reduce movement speed on characters. So the exception of that is going to be Super Brains, Chomper, and Sunflower, and Scientist. Those guys are going to stay at the same movement speed, but all the other characters are going to have just a slightly reduced speed.
Chaos is good, but we really kind of want more organized chaos.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want people to be able to, find it easier to make their shots, etc. There is going to be a lot of detail on things like the M Carter and those kind of things. We've got a lot of feedback on that you'll see next week, but I'm going to touch on two things that came up a lot from the community. One was Rose. So we're increasing Rose's damage on the primary attack across all of the Rose variants so that Rose can be a little bit more powerful in the battle without her abilities.
And the tracking too.
Yeah, tracking is really, so Rose is designed to have a slight track on her primary weapon, so if you're able to lock onto a target, it'll hold and kind of go around corners and that kind of thing. In the game, that's now going to be increased so that you can basically take your target off the player that you're trying to vanquish for up to half a second now, and it will still lock for you, which was shorter than that in the beta. Because that's going to help you play that class.
Yeah, and she is supposed to be like a great suppress class, but we want to give her a little more power too, because I mean, she in her own right, she should be able to take out guys as well.
Another thing we got feedback on was Colonel Corn's primary weapons. That is going to be buffed in all the Colonel Corn characters, so we're going to have a little bit more damage from primary weapon on Colonel Corn, which I think is cool. One of the big changes to Super Brains we're going to do is Turbo Twister's going to do slightly more damage, and also we're going to remove the reload from his primary punching attack. So you will be able to just keep punching with Super Brains, as he was designed to be a melee class. So,
brawler.
So there's a bunch of different changes that are happening, and also a few different things. So one of the pieces of feedback that we got was that people loved Backyard Battleground. They really enjoyed being in there, and you guys obviously had a very limited look at Backyard Battleground. There's much more to do, but the game team have started to put even more. I just hit an ability on my controller. The game team have started to put even more things into the Backyard Battleground because you guys loved it so much. So you'll actually be able to go down to the docks in the Backyard Battleground now and pick up some crazy target quests, which I think is awesome. So you'll be able to practice your moves and crazy targets and complete quests while doing it.
Yeah. And that's just to add in, so I mean the beta, for those who don't know, the Backyard Battleground experience was a somewhat reduced experience because the focus was on multiplayer and multiplayer tuning, hence all these adjustments that have been made based on the telemetry and feedback. So there's a lot of Backyard Battleground to explore that we've been holding till launch, and again, there's a lot of secrets that we're not talking about. We've been sworn to secrecy from the dev team and primarily Justin. But yeah, anyway, and it's all for you guys. It's all for the players. So we want this discovery to to be there. We want you to be able to discover this all organically, which really creates some very cool moments. So. Yeah, we're not going to be talking about any more details of the Backyard Battleground until the game's already launched.
That's right. So when we post the final beta feedback, it'll be on our social channels. It'll also be on our website. And you'll be able to see in real detail every single change. There are an incredible number of changes that have happened, buffing and reducing different characters, right down to the velocity of the shots. So wait until you see that next week. I think you'll be really excited to see all the changes that have been made to make sure this game feels as Garden Warfare as possible. And I think it feels the most Garden Warfare, which is pretty awesome. How are you feeling about the changes, Robert?
I feel good. I've got a couple of questions coming in for you.